Page 22, Minuet in G major well, it's from Bach's notebook. This is a very famous minuet, and pretty much every piano student studying piano for very long plays this eventually. I want to talk about a few things here. Starting in the right hand. You're starting out fine, it's in G major, it's got one sharp. I like the fingering in the second measure on the two G's, the 1, 2. But I don't like the next one where they want you to do a third. They want you to go from here to here. I think that's unnecessary. So I suggest at the first note on the third measure, rather than a third finger, use a little finger and then a thumb on the C. Because I can go from here in the second measure, here. I can reach up and get the fifth finger on that. It's not a problem. And then come up. In the last measure, the first line, again the two G's is a 1, 2. In the last measure of the second line, you have that little grace, the little ornament thing, the B, and then A. The B doesn't have a line through it. This is not a grace note. So there's a difference of opinion again on how it might be played. Some people will say if it does that, then you play it, give it the rhythmic value of the actual note. So it's an eighth note. The little B is an eighth note, so we would give it a half a beat. So it would be, to do the last two measures, it would be this. 1, 2, and 3, and 1, and... So you just play it just like a eighth note on the beat. Or there's another school of thought that says that when it doesn't have a line through it, you can actually play it at double its shown value. So an eighth note would be played as a quarter note in this case. So the last two measures, it would be this. 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, 3. And you'll hear it both ways. So you decide which way you like to play it and play it. Just know that other people might play it differently, so there's no point in arguing about who's right or wrong. You have one nasty little jump over on page 23 between the first and second line. See, the first line ends on a G, and the second line you got to go clear up to a B. Again, if you got large hands, you can just reach it. Otherwise, know that you got to come up here. But there's no phrasing in this. As I said in another video, Bach, the composers of this period didn't put in articulation, phrasing, dynamics, tempo, none of that. They didn't do any of that in the music. The musician was expected to know how to add all that in, to make it musical. Well, the phrasing wise, you would end a phrase at the end of the first line on page 23, and you would begin a new phrase at the beginning of the second line. Well, there's your little bit of silence you need to give you that move. So you're moving from here. That little silence it takes to do that is perfect for the job of separating the phrase. Now, if you have a teacher might go in and put in phrase marks of what they think it should be. But if you just listen to some recordings and see how they're breaking the phrases, and different professionals will break the phrases differently. It's interesting to listen to what they do. Then you've got to decide, how do I want to do it? As far as the articulation goes, again, nothing is written, and you're not going to play it all connected. Add a little articulation, like on those repeated G's, separate those, just not staccato, just separate them. And then the third line on page 22 would start a new phrase. Because it's like at the beginning again, right? Over on page 23, starting with the second line, you're in the second section of the music. Remember, music has sections. Start a new phrase here. Start a new phrase at measure 25. And then let the last line be a phrase. In the last chord at the bottom of page 23 in the right hand, the melody is the G. Play it louder than the others. You want to hear it. Now for the left hand, just do what they're doing. Big deal. It's all background, so keep it down underneath. The melody's in the other hand. I suggest on second line on page 22, second line, last measure in the left hand, you put a break between the first and second beats. So you have a D, and then a little break before you do the eighth notes. Now there is a little bit of trickiness over on page 23 in the left hand. Look at the fourth line down. This is measures 25 and 26. See what they're doing? You got two voices going. The bottom voice with the stems going down is here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then it's got a middle voice with the stems going up, and that's here. Rest, 2, 3, rest, 2, 3. We want to hear both voices, so you make sure you're holding the notes down their length. So the B is 2 counts, you're going to hold it down. Keep it down when you play the D. So both are down temporarily. Now hold the D down while you play the B again. The next measure, and then the C is by itself. Hold the C down while you play the E, and then hold the E down while you play the C again. So, because there's no pedal in this. Fingers do it all. A little tricky, but you'll get it if you work on it. Last line on page 23, that is a 4 on the D. And it is a dotted half note. You got to hold it down for the whole measure. So it's 1, 2, 3. So the D and the F sharp are both down at the same time for one beat. And then it comes up on the next measure. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Roadmap wise, you see the repeat signs, so hopefully by now you know how repeat signs work. I don't have to explain it. 3/4 time, since it's a minuet, makes sense. Key of G major, all the F's are sharp, and I see some other sharps in here, so you can have fun with those. I'll give us 3 counts. Let's play it together slowly. Okay, slowly. You'll find all kinds of recordings of this. You want to know what it sounds like. 1, ready, go. Repeat